How would you define professional? What does that really mean? When I was in film school, the word professional was kind of thrown around quite a bit, like a professional set or a professional filmmaker, whatever. The operative definition of it is if it's a position in which you're getting paid for or something of that sort, it's professional. Anything else, volunteer, stuff like that, can't necessarily be counted because it's not a job, ergo, it's not a profession. So when you're hearing the word professional, the other term would be that, like, this is for professionals. So something like, let's say Kodak Pro Image 100, Pro being the term I kind of want to focus on, short for professional, would mean that this is the film for professionals. Pro Image 100. I think it might be one of my new favorite films because not only is it more affordable than just about every other film out there right now, which I feel like I'm in a fucking nightmare zone every time I'm like, I should get some more film. It's like, I don't know. Can I budget for this shit? Call up a loan office somewhere and be like, hey man, fucking gotta feed the demon, gotta feed the addiction. Pro Image, the cost of it is still pretty low. And I think that's in large part because I've literally have heard no one talk about it. It's come up a few times here and there. People are like, it's like fucking, it's fine, I guess. It's fine, whatever. And honestly, I would say it is fine. If I was tasked with shooting a wedding or an important life event, might not be my first choice, but honestly, I'm looking at the results I got from this roll and I might pick it. It's a nice blending of like portrait look and Ektar look. Like if they had some kind of child. No, that's not accurate because I don't want to cheapen it here. I don't want to be like, it's just like the budget portrait, which I think is kind of how I phrased it in my other video. But it does kind of have a very similar aesthetic to it, and it's more like pastel, washed out saturation, but the grain is still pretty sharp and detailed, kind of like an Ektar would be, but it doesn't have that like signature Ektar tint. So it's just this kind of more subdued film stock. Like there's not a whole lot of presence to it, if that makes sense, but it's still good color film. Like again, a lot of latitude, a lot you can do to edit it, push, pull, whatever you need to, which is great. It gives you that option, which I will say is a very professional feature, because if you think about a lot of, digital photographers, digital videographers, they like to shoot raw. They like to shoot with these large files that are very flat that you can do a lot with. You can push it, you can pull it, you can do whatever you need to tweak the colors, to tweak like the white balance, what have you. That's what professionals like, and that's kind of what this film I feel like delivers. So it seems pretty pro to me. But I basically shot this film in two settings. One, kind of around the apartment here, and two, went down to the coast to spend some time with the family and help out on my uncle's ranch. So we've got the photos in here. It performs well in the shadows. There is quite a significant fall off in terms of sharpness, and you can kind of see that, but I think that it really represents the richness of that red nicely, and then I think the greens are very smooth looking and kind of cooling. So I enjoy that. This photo here of the tiger that I have hung up, I shot this on a 28mm 2.8 lens, so you're getting kind of a wider look here. In the backdrop you have this blue that's coming in from the windows behind me here, so it's kind of creating this nice cooler tone, which I think kind of contrasts nicely with the more warm tones of the other wall here. And it's a white wall, so it's reflecting that sunlight and kind of giving it a little boost of warmth. I don't know what it is. Like, I've been trying to shoot videos in here for a few weeks now. The lighting has been so inconsistent because it's like partly cloudy. It's supposed to be July. It's supposed to be summertime, bright sunny shines, whatever. But like the lighting changes so abruptly all day today. It's been horrible. Like, I'm trying to go for some kind of consistency, and all of a sudden I look like I'm in some like campfire horror film, right? Like, this is just not, what are we doing? Anyway, moving on. These photos outside I thought were really nice as well. I didn't do anything to edit these, so I figured it'd be best to kind of just go over them raw, but you can kind of see it's flat. Like, the sun, or the sky behind us here is this like really light baby blue, and I feel like you could up the saturation a little bit without, you know, being a little bit too overzealous, and that would bring out the warmth in the sunlight hitting the plants here, and again bring out a little bit of green in the backdrop. Overall, not really great photos, but for the sake of discussion, I think the film performs quite ably in terms of the difference in lighting. We've got like this bright foreground, this kind of darker mid portion of the photo, and then the bright areas in the back. There's not a lot of drop off in the highlights, and the shadows, while they're pretty dark, there's still enough detail there that you can kind of make out what it is, which I think is nice. This one I was a little bit concerned when I took, because the way that the light was hitting the concrete is kind of blasting it, and you can kind of see that it washes out the totality of that flower in particular. But for the most part, you can see like this clear sharpness around the other flowers, and even like zooming in a little bit, the pistils, if you will, have nice definition to them, nice vibrancy in that yellow. And then the greens in the backdrop just add nice little texture as well. Very well textured, I would say, overall. There's a lot going on. There's not a lot of just fall off into the shadow, darkness, whatever. It has a very nice dynamic range. Some of the colors kind of get washed out and lost, but I feel like you can maybe pull that back a little bit. Like, you can get a good image out of it if you just tweak it a little bit. But again, bear in mind that when I'm saying this, it is like half the cost of a roll of Portra. It's half the cost of a roll of Ektar. It's half the cost of a lot of these films that can produce similar looks, and it might not have that fall off, and it might, you know, be able to preserve all of those colors, but you're just gonna have to spend a lot more and get a little bit better performance. If you're not in the financial place to spend all that money for like that super professional look, I think the Pro Image is a really great point to just kind of get into film photography. And even something that like I cherish and I love more than anything, Kodak Color Plus, because it is like a low rent, cheap, super saturated film. Good luck finding that for less than 10, 12 bucks a roll now. Like, I've not looked for a while, to be honest, but the last time I got Color Plus, I think I got four rolls, I think it was, for like 55 bucks. So, and that's like the cheapest I could find. And I was like, oh shit, I've not seen this in a while. I gotta get it. But Pro Image, it feels like most places have it, and they can't sell it fast enough. They're just, get rid of it, please, buy it. Like, nobody's talking about this film, and it's not great, but it's good enough, I would say. So I have this first picture here. This is coming into the ranch. We've got the cattle out there in the foreground, and I'm really glad that I had the 28 millimeter for this, because I wanted to see everything pretty much, and I think it really gives this size and the scale. It was a really bright day. As you can see, there weren't a lot of clouds in the sky, but shadows are there. Texture and the details in the tree is all there. It's not washed out. It's not gritty. It looks really refined. It looks really nice. I guarantee that if I was to add like a little red tinting to it, and maybe a touch of sharpness, not even actually, I'd say it's pretty sharp, but maybe just like a little red tint, and I was to post this and be like, oh, look at this shot I got on Ektar. You know, it could have fooled you. It could have fooled most people. I'm outing myself because I'm making this video, but the point remains, this is a really good picture. I say the composition, not very great, but in terms of what the film is doing, I think is phenomenal. This is the downside, and this could either be the camera or the film or the user or a mixture of the three, but we're seeing it's very blown out here. The field here is being blasted with sunshine, and it's reflective. Green is a very bright pigment, so you're seeing that. And then the machinery here is also very bright and very blown out because it's reflecting that light as well. Much like the windows out here are reflecting a lot of light inconsistently and creating some overexposure in the frame. That's what's kind of happening here. Now it holds on to the detail in the skyline really well because you can see it's still that like nice blue, not the faded blue tone. It's just, you know, a little bit more of a solid blue. Overall, it's not terrible. I still feel like this can be saved if it needs to be. Not really a great composed image, and I think maybe if I was a little bit more spot on with the process of shooting it and not just like ripping on auto, then I probably could have taken a better photo. But for all intents and purposes, this is fairly usable. It's a bit of a low point. I don't know if another film would have performed better. I don't know if me using another camera would have been better. Who's to say? But it's not a great picture. I think it's worth saying that this is an $8 roll of film, and this is kind of something that you could expect, is you might have some blown out portions of the image. This is probably my favorite picture I think I've ever taken. This is my uncle here, and you can see that the light coming in really bright, and then the shadow that's cutting across his face from his hat is very dark. So a little bit of tweaking, and then we end up getting this image, which I think looks just as good, except, you know, obviously a lot better. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that given kind of the raw version of this photo, being able to tweak it and kind of finesse it into what you want it to look like is perfectly fine, and I think ultimately delivers a great image. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I think, again, if I had Ektar, if I had Portra, I probably could have taken these photos. But I think the big point is in my mind still, I'm thinking Ektar, I'm thinking Portra, I'm thinking like break glass in case of emergency. I'm thinking only use if there's nothing else left. But if I have an $8 roll of film, I'll just toss that in a camera and go have fun. And the picture you take, regardless of if it's good or not, is going to be infinitely better than the picture that you don't take. So I have a few rolls of Portra. I might have a roll or two of Ektar that I've not shot yet because I'm waiting. I'm waiting for, I don't know what. I'm just waiting for something to take those pictures. But I didn't wait to take this one because it was an $8 fucking roll of film. I'm not doing the math. I'm not thinking about like each shot has to be this perfectly curated masterpiece. I'm just having fun. And if you want to just make taking a photo fun, if you want to take the professional mindset out of it, just have fun with it, just experiment, I don't think there's a better way to do that than with Pro Image 100. You're not going to be breaking the bank to shoot it. You get 5 rolls for $40. That's not a bad deal. For most people, that will last them like a month or two or whatever. For me, it'll probably last a week. But really, for all intents and purposes, you can produce really high quality images out of it because it's still a decent film. There are obvious limitations to its abilities. There's obvious limitations to the saturation and stuff. But I think if you take a well-composed shot, you can tweak things if you need to, but for the most part, it's a shot that you took versus the shot that you won't take because you can't afford to buy the film or because you don't want to shoot the film, if that makes sense. So I think that's kind of why I wanted to discuss this in greater detail. I have this other shot that I'm really proud of. Just my uncle here again looking over his herd of cattle, all of the dust that's in the air from all the cattle moving around and stuff, and I just think it really creates this cinematic image. But overall, yeah, I was just really impressed. I've never shot with Pro Image, and I think after getting this roll back, I'm really excited to shoot with it again. I shot another roll of it through another camera that I'll be making another video about. And I've got, I think, 3 rolls left that I'll probably be loading up here pretty soon because I can't wait to see more results from it. And then I might buy another pro pack of it just for kicks and giggles. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Shout out to the Bronco Buddies for supporting the channel. Their names are right here. Feel free to join the channel if you want to support what I do here. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel. And I'm going to be putting up a little article that I write on this film with some more of my curated thoughts and some more images that I took. I'll put that up on my website. The link will be in the description down below. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please share those below as well. And if you've shot Pro Image, let me know what you think. Is it like a sneaky good film that everyone else should shoot, or do you think it's overrated and I'm full of it? Let me know. Anyway, thank you for watching. Appreciate it as always. Catch you on the next one.